I want to welcome Candace Czar-Nee again, she and author of the book First Cause. Candace, what happens after the 90-day mark of doing the first cause practice and tracking the results?
90 days represents a full quarterly reassessment, which aligns roughly with the time it takes for new neural pathways to achieve a level of permanent myelination. You look at your long-term trend lines across all 5 dimensions and compare them to your baseline on day 1.
Candace, you note in your book that in 35 years of clinical and executive practice, she has never once seen someone maintain this daily micro-commitment for 90 days and not report profound, measurable structural change across their psychological metrics.
But let's be real about human behavior. People fall off the wagon, the streak dies, you get the flu, your kid has a crisis at school, you have a massive career-defining deadline, and suddenly you look up and it's been 4 days and you haven't done your 5 minutes. The streak is vital, but it completely reframes what it means to break it, which I thought was so counterintuitive. It is a crucial point of psychological flexibility embedded in the practice. In most habit-forming methodologies, breaking the streak is viewed as a failure, which triggers shame, which usually causes the person to abandon the practice entirely.
Candace, you reframe this. Drifting is not failure. Drifting is data.
It's your nervous system working exactly as it should, showing you the stark contrast between the ease of alignment and the friction of misalignment. Returning after a drift isn't a failure to practice. The act of returning is the practice. The return is the practice that completely removes the shame spiral.
And what you find in the data is that over time, the gap between drifting and returning radically narrows.
Initially, you might be living out of alignment for 5 years before you notice the hollow feeling. Then it's 5 months. With daily tracking, you catch the misalignment in a single day. You feel the familiar fiction of the borrowed voices immediately, and your system automatically course corrects you. Return to the 5 minutes. Also, from a purely behavioral design perspective, how smart the quick check in concept is for those chaotic days.
It completely neutralizes the ego's favorite excuse, I'm simply too busy today.
It demands just 3 minutes to capture the essential psychological data. It proves to your nervous system that even on a day where everything is on fire, you remain the priority. You put yourself first for 180 seconds. That structural protection of the habit is precisely what prevents the crowded mind from taking back the newly won territory it maintains, the beachhead.
Okay, so you've established the daily habit. You're doing the 5 minutes. You're tracking the data. You're feeling the resonance.
But the real world doesn't care about your inner peace or your alignment. The real world is going to aggressively, relentlessly try to pull you back out of this state. Yeah, the second you open your laptop, the emails pour in, the Slack notifications start pinging, the crises emerge. How do you defend this newly acquired edge? This brings us to the final and perhaps most difficult major concept: navigating the obstacle field. Maintaining this competitive advantage requires actively, ruthlessly defending your first cause against society's highly rewarded, socially acceptable forms of avoidance.
Let's walk through these obstacles because they are incredibly sneaky. They don't look like self-sabotage. They look like being a good employee or a good friend.
The first obstacle is urgency, addiction. Modern life, and particularly the architecture of modern technology, has essentially trained our brains to have a physiological preference for urgency over importance. It exploits our evolutionary biology. To early humans, a sudden, loud noise meant a predator. It was urgent, and reacting to it kept you alive. Long-term planning, like agriculture, was important but not urgent. Today, every notification, every ding mimics that urgent threat. We have become addicted to the dopamine hit of completion. When a notification pops up and you clear it, your brain releases a tiny pulse of dopamine. You feel a brief relief. You feel productive. But the urgent feels real because it's loud and bright, not because it actually moves the needle on your life.
This raises a profoundly important question for the listener. How often are you confusing an emotional physiological charge with genuine importance?
Just because an email from your boss makes your heart rate spike to 110 beats per minute does not mean it is the most important thing you need to do today. Your true voice, your first cause, does not send push notifications. It does not ping. It speaks in the quiet. It speaks about the long, slow arc of your life's meaning. If you are chronically addicted to urgency, you completely lose the cognitive tolerance for the non-urgent, quiet, deeply important things.
It's like preferring fast food because it's instantly available and highly salted, even while your body is slowly starving for actual complex nutrition.
So here's where I'll leave you. Everything we talked about today starts with one thing. If you are chronically addicted to urgency, you completely lose the cognitive tolerance for the non-urgent, quiet, deeply important thing. That's why I developed a free 5-minute quiz that tells you exactly which reactive pattern runs you when the pressure hits. The one that's been costing you without you ever naming it. Go to consciousnesstrack.app/quiz. Take it before the day gets hold of you. See your pattern. Then you'll know exactly where the work begins.